Hey YouTube, this is your girl, Miss Jovial. I hope everybody is having a good evening. I was sitting here thinking, I just got off work. There are a lot of my friends that's looking for a job, right? And I'm trying to figure out, we're trying to figure out, why is it taking so long for people to find jobs? And it's mind-boggling, right? It's like, I remember a time, this back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, when I used to find a job and just like that. I mean, it may not be the job that you really want, but you can find a job just like that. But now, good Lord, it's like a needle in a haystack finding a job, right? And I tell you something else that's crazy too, the pay. Okay, 25 years ago, I moved to New York, right? And it took me 48 hours to find a job. And let me tell you what I did. I was determined to stay in New York because my family was like, you ain't gonna make it in New York because it's too fast paced. You ain't used to that kind of life. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make it. I ain't even worried about that. I really ain't worried about that. And the truth is, I ain't know if I was gonna do well in New York or not because I didn't know anybody. When I moved, it was like I moved on a whim because I was getting tired of Chicago, right? Y'all can go and watch that story on another video. Anyway, but what I'm saying is, I got to New York on a Sunday night. Monday morning, I got up and I went to the temp agency. And, excuse me, and I started talking to everybody on the staff. I mean, I was making friends at the temp agency, y'all. I stayed there the whole day. Now, I don't know what they do now because I haven't been to the temp agency in a very long time. But back then, we had to do a typing test. We had to do a PowerPoint test, a reading test, the type, yeah, these say type test. And that's how they determine whether or not you were fit for a specific job. Well, I took all of those tests and I passed it, right? I wasn't no perfectionist, but I passed it, okay? And I was sitting there and they were like, well, we'll let you know when a job comes up. But in my head, I knew something had to happen that day. So I was like, no, I don't have anything to do today, so I could just sit here. And they were like, well, do you want to work on your, I don't know, your Excel skills or your PowerPoint skills? And I was like, okay, I can do that. Excuse me. I don't know why I keep coughing. But anyway, I went into the other room and I started working on that. But like I said, and I'm going to say it again, my mindset was I'm going to get a job today because I'm in a new city and I don't know what's going on here. Okay. Now I came to New York with $2,000 and y'all know going doggone well that ain't enough to do nothing in New York. Okay. But I ended up staying in the hostel. I think it was on 23rd Street. I can't remember what it was, but it was at a hostel. Honey, I was sitting there and I just kept, it was in my mind. I was like, I ain't worried about it. I'm just going to go and get a job and call it a day. Got a job. At the end of the day, they were like, y'all, you ain't going to believe this. I said, what? They were like, you got a job paying, I think at the time it was like $19, $20 an hour. That was back in 1998, 99. It was one of them years. And I ended up getting a job at one of the biggest banks in the world, right? I couldn't believe I got it. I was like, oh my God, I got it. So I ended up working there. I stayed there for like a couple of months. Then I was like, okay, this ain't working for me. Although I am grateful I got a job because I got an income coming in because within 30 days, I ended up finding my apartment. That's on another video. Anyway, so I was like, okay, let me go get something to eat, right? Lunchtime, I went to Wendy's. And I met a guy and I started talking because I'm one of those people that I started talking. I don't care who, if you're a stranger, it really don't matter to me. So I ended up start talking to this guy. The guy worked for a music publishing company. And I came to New York because I wanted to get in entertainment. Okay. So we started talking. He was like, well, my company is hiring. So I said, oh, okay, well, all right. So I went upstairs. He took me upstairs to where he worked. The HR lady was at the front desk talking to her friend who was the receptionist. Oh no, right? I couldn't believe this was happening, right? So I started talking to them and they were like, well, do you have a resume? I said, yeah, I got my resume. One thing to remember that if you're in New York and you're looking for a job, you got to keep your resume. You have to keep your resume, especially when you move there, okay? Because you never know when an opportunity may come your way. So I ended up giving a woman my resume. And the next day she said, come in for interview. I said, oh, okay, cool. Went to the interview a week later, start working in the music industry. But I started off as an office assistant because see, I didn't have the skills to do licensing or royalties at the time. So about 6 to 8 months later, it was brought to my attention. They were like, okay, well, the CEO came in and was like, okay, look, D, because everybody called me D. They were like, we got an opportunity for you. Either you can become an executive assistant or you can become a licensing coordinator and work on the publishing side instead of the corporate side. So I started thinking about it. I said, I get more leverage if I start working in publishing because then I can learn, a lot of dynamics of the music industry. And that's what I did. And when I tell y'all I moved up the ladder real quick, honey, I become a coordinator for a while. And then they moved me up to senior licensing administrator. I was so happy. And I was working with some pretty cool artists, right? And so keep in mind, this is a smaller publishing company. And one day we were having a Christmas party and I started running my mouth like I always do. And next thing you know, I was talking to some girl. I don't even know who I was talking to. I started talking to a girl and one of her brothers worked at one of the major record labels. And I ended up going over there. And I landed my dream job. I thought I was so excited. Now, I did want to be an A&R, okay? But I landed my dream job because I was working in entertainment, okay? And then I started meeting a lot of artists. I had so much fun in New York. Y'all have no idea. Oh, my God, it was so much fun. But my thing is, I had a mindset. I had a positive mindset because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I didn't think about the barriers. I didn't think about I didn't think about being rejected or anything because my mind was set like, I'm going to make it here, right? I'm going to make it here. Maybe for those of y'all that's looking for a job, maybe you got to come up with that concept. Like, I'm going to make it here no matter what. I mean, I'm going to get a job no matter what. I don't know if it's going to work. I can't tell y'all if it worked or not. I don't know. Because let me tell you now, when I became unemployed a few years down the line, like maybe 10 or 15 years, I left the record label to go back home and take care of my mom. And then when I came back, it was hard for me to find a job. But for me, I think that God was teaching me about patience because back in the day, I ain't had no patience to do anything. I was like, I need to get it done right now. Come on. I didn't have any patience. And sometimes life will stop you in the tracks and be like, okay, let me teach this little girl a little something. And I think that God was teaching me about being patient and waiting your turn. And that's the only way I could see it. And when I started to become more patient with things, that's when the doors started opening for me. Because you got to trust the timing. You got to trust God's timing when you want to do something big, okay? But it worked. So for those of y'all that's looking for a job, just, trust God's timing because there's something out there for everybody. And lately, I ain't trying to be funny. Maybe you should start thinking about running your own business, starting your own business because a lot of people are doing it. And it's hot out here. I mean, it's hot out in these streets, especially in digital marketing and digital products, creating your own stuff. There's so many tools online that you could utilize to earn an income. You got to look at all sides of it because what you don't do, you don't wait on the recruiters to give you a job, okay? They can only do so much, and some of them don't even work half the time. You know what I mean? I don't know what they do. I don't know what some of these recruiters do. Because you know what? One of them called me one time, wanted to know if I want to be an Uber driver. Now, there is nothing wrong with being an Uber driver at all. Nothing. It's just that why did the recruiter call me and to ask if I was interested? I could have done it on my own. You get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, all the money is green. That's all I'm saying. So keep the faith. I want y'all to keep going. But I'm just trying to figure out why it takes so long for people to find jobs these days. And I mean, are there ghost jobs out there? Like when you see something on Indeed or Simply Hired or LinkedIn, a career builder, you see these jobs, right? And you apply for it, but you realize at the end of the day that the job is not real. It's not, there is no such job. I just don't understand what's happening. But when you come across those kind of jobs, the best thing for you to do, honestly, start thinking about creating your own business. Seriously. Because I know so many people that do it. I know people right now that's opening up their the beauty shop. I mean, you got to start small, because I know here in Tennessee, you know what these girls are doing? Honey, let me tell you this, to avoid all of that booth rent, you know what they doing? They using sheds, and they're setting it up like a beauty shop. Okay. And people are coming in to get their hair done in the shed. Laugh all you want to. They keeping all the profit. Hello. They keeping it all. You gotta be creative these days. All right. But what you got to do, though, is keep your mindset right. You got to keep a positive mindset and know that there's going to be a breakthrough very soon. But like I said, it's not always on your time. Nope. It's on God's time. But in the meantime, I want you to keep pushing, keep thriving, and just do your best, okay? All right, this is your girl, Miss Jovial. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button when you know that I'm coming on, okay? I love you. Wait, let me do a thumbnail right quick. Okay, you all take care.